President Trump has signed the bill authorizing the release of the Epstein files. The Department of Justice is now on the clock to produce those documents.
What are you doing here over the next 30 days as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law.
President Donald Trump has officially signed the bill compelling the Justice Department to release the case files on Jeffrey Epstein. But with a new investigation now underway and loopholes in the bill, will we actually learn the full truth about Epstein and his co-conspirators? Remains to be seen. Before we get into it, Cenk, what are your 2 cents here?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about what one of the Epstein said, Mark Epstein, about how the files might have been scrubbed. We'll get to that in a sec. And are they going to try to find new loopholes to try to keep this out? And one last one, apparently that's 3 cents. So Trump apparently tried to block this at the last minute anyway, and that's a story you might not have heard. So let's give you all the details.
So last night, without any media presence or fanfare, Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act into law after initially trying to block its passage. But in his Truth Social announcement, Trump tried to claim credit for the bill. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and Senate respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous. In reality, the bill passed through Congress despite Donald Trump, not because of him. The DOJ now has 30 days to release the tens of thousands of files. According to the evidence list, the remaining materials include 40 computers and electronic devices, 26 storage drives, more than 70 CDs, and 6 recording devices, all of which hold more than 300 gigabytes of cumulative data, according to the Justice Department. And we can expect the release to include witness statements, travel and flight logs, employee lists, documents related to Epstein's islands, handwritten notes, photo albums, financial documents, information on immunity deals, and maybe more. But what will not be included? Probably a lot. The bill includes a provision saying that the government can withhold information from public disclosure if it would jeopardize an ongoing criminal investigation or prosecution. And earlier this week, Trump conveniently ordered Pam Bondi to open an investigation into Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, and other Democrats' ties to Epstein. She quickly followed suit, meaning any documents that could be relevant in that new investigation are fair game to withhold from the public. Plus, some judges have already signaled that some of the most sought after material, like grand jury records, will remain locked away despite the mandate from Congress. And there's another major loophole. The DOJ can also withhold records that contain information specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. So any potential information about Epstein's alleged dealings with American or foreign intelligence agencies could be hidden. There's also been speculation that the government is manipulating the files ahead of their release. In a recent interview with Chris Cuomo, Jeffrey Epstein's brother Mark made this allegation. Take a look.
I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
Now, it's not clear who his source was. So as of right now, those claims are unsubstantiated. But Cenk, what do you make of this?
Yeah, so first of all, why do we need something to exempt national defense? If it's just a case of pedophiles in America that were abusing girls, what does that have to do with national defense? Things that make you go, If I got a jaywalking ticket and somebody said, whoa, we can't release that information because of national defense, it would make you think, what does Cenk have to do with national defense, right? But I'm sure that mainstream media will find that to be an illegitimate question. Illegitimate. Shh. Okay, so now I want you to know about Mike Johnson's plan. because I told you that they might have been trying to block this at the last second anyway. So are they blocking it? Are they going to redact it? We'll find out. And by the way, on tyt.com, we're asking you guys, do you think that they're going to basically doctor this thing or not, right? So Mike Johnson wanted the Senate to pass amendments to their version of releasing the Epstein files. And he was pretty livid when they didn't. And I thought, I wonder what's in those amendments that Mike Johnson wanted so badly. So one, it might have been some more obfuscation to try to cover up more documents, etc. But now I realize what the second goal was based on reporting, which is that if the Senate passes a different version, it would have to go back to the House for them to pass the same version, and that would have created, they estimated about a month-long delay. And so they just wanted to delay, and that's when the senators just passed it in a hurry. Mike Johnson's like, what the hell, that wasn't the plan, guys. We were gonna try to cover it up for a little bit longer and pass some more amendments to cover more of it up. And Jordan, I don't know if they screwed that up or not, and now we're gonna get see some information that we might not have otherwise. But look, in terms of, like, let's say that it was an intelligence agency. So put aside Israel, just say that it's CIA, right? Do we think the CIA would go, oh yeah, go ahead, tell everybody that we put a couple of people up to raping American girls so we can collect intelligence that was of what value to America? To do what, and what did we do with it? I mean, the only thing the CIA ever does is serve corporations, like, oh, let's go invade that country for bananas and that one for oil, et cetera, et cetera. The CIA almost never works for the American people. And so, okay, they're not gonna admit it. Of course they're not gonna admit it. And if it's Israel, they're doubly not going to admit it. So like, if you're waiting for the files where they go, okay, yes, this was a CIA plot. They already have the clause about, oh, we will hide everything that's about national defense. So, okay, maybe you're hiding, who actually did it, period. Now, and another thing I'm worried about, Jordan. Look, by the way, don't get me wrong. I love that we did this. I love that we pushed from the outside. I love that we got them to do it. And I love that they're gonna release some version of the files, and we get it, even if they've been scrubbed clean, guys. The internet is gonna catch you. They think, oh, sure, well, we'll just give it to ABC and CNN, and they will say that is the official government position, and anything else is a conspiracy theory, and this case is officially closed, right? Then the internet's gonna swarm, right? And they're gonna look at every document, and they're supposed to not delete. Like, if they have deleted something, they're supposed to make note of it. They will not make note of it, and the internet will catch them. So that's why overall, it's still great news, right? I don't want you to get discouraged. I think the American people, plus Roxana Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, did something amazing. Okay, but more worries here. Okay, so they could say, oh, the Democrats are being investigated already. I mean, what a comical thing to say. If there's Republican predators, oh, feel free to rape away. It's okay, no one cares. But the Democrats will be investigated for these crimes. Already, that's horrific. But on top of that, they might use that to go, well, we are gonna give it to you. But we have started a years-long, decades-long investigation into these rascally Democrats. So we'll get back to you guys when that's over. It's not like they haven't done that before, and it's not like it hasn't taken decades before, right? So not an exaggeration by much. But Jordan, the last worry is that they release the files and they go, well, now we can't prosecute anyone. No, you guys wanted the files. If we only had them for 20 years. If we had them for 30 years or 380 years, we would have gotten to the prosecutions. But since you rascally kids got involved and we had to release the files, now we can't prosecute anyone. That's also enormously possible.
Yeah, I mean, I never really had hope that if this went through the Trump administration specifically, we would get full transparency. And I think the signaling from congressional Republicans all voting for it, with the exception of one, I think they all knew, okay, we've got a plan B. And I think it's just scrubbing or a limited release, or what we're seeing now with this new investigation loophole. Oh, we got to withhold some. We've talked about Trump potentially being a source. Mike Johnson seems to have accidentally let that slip to cover an informant. Maybe that's how they do it. It seems like Trump was a snitch, because they had some falling out over a real estate deal. And of course, there was the element of Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly poaching people from Mar-a-Lago. And if he got upset about that and ran to the FBI, that would, some sort of deal made to provide intel or be a source or an informant in exchange for protection, in exchange for a pass, basically. I don't think we're going to get the full picture here. I think it's important to fight for it. I think it would have been on the Biden administration and Merrick Garland to release this material, but they chose not to. And that goes to the other component of this, which is a national security or foreign policy interest. We've talked a lot this week, the past couple of weeks about it. It seems like they're covering for other intelligence agencies or one intelligence agency specifically. So Trump signing it, to me, was a sign that we're not going to get the full picture.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to clarify every time, because I know you're not seeing it in mainstream media. Dropsite News has already proven that Jeffrey Epstein worked with Israel. He conspired with the former prime minister, with spies that stayed at his house, Israeli spies, of course. It'd be funny if it was like random, like he was working with Paraguay. No, it was Israel, and they were conspiring to try to get America to bomb Syria and Iran, among other things. So there's no question about that. It's just mainstream media has decided to cover it up on behalf of Israel, which is a curious decision. Anyway, last part of it is there a deep state? Well, interesting, because Trump is always talking about a deep state, and this theory that he was a snitch, ooh, that sounds so true. Okay, look, I can't tell you that that definitely happened. We don't have the files yet. I always clarify facts, speculation, right? So now we're in the speculation, and Donald Trump turning evidence behind the scenes against others to get himself out of trouble sounds like Donald Trump 101. So remember, like deep state, of course, I work with them all the time. I mean, whatever. Okay, but by the way, I mean, you could make an argument that if he did, well, he's working with law enforcement, and good for him, right? And well, it depends, doesn't it, Jordan? Because if he's working with law enforcement out of the goodness of his heart, and he's turning over pedophiles, then he should be bragging about that to no end, and he would deserve a lot of credit, right? On the other hand, if he's turning over information because he didn't want to be prosecuted because they had him dead to rights legally, that could be a different story, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I think the likely scenario. If there was any sort of informant role for Trump, it would be in exchange for immunity. He certainly wouldn't do this out of the goodness of his heart. He maintained a relationship with this guy well after everybody knew what he was. So he had no issue with it. He knew it was happening. We've seen the letters, we've seen the birthday book, all that. He knew. If there was an informant role, it was just for immunity to cover himself.
Yeah, and by the way, last thing, since this is speculation, guys, it's possible you get an immunity deal for some other charge. Like it didn't have to be that he was involved in the ring. Could have been that the FBI was like, oh, we got you on 28 counts of money laundering. I mean, look, there's houses that are being sold, the condos, etc. But we know you know about Epstein, so what do you got there? Okay, we'll do a deal. So we don't know, and we don't know if that's going to be released. But there's some now reporting / speculation on the possibility. So we'll find out. Trust me, the internet will find out. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.